Hi guys, Rose here with the Cackling Moon, and this is your second day of the Learn Tarot with Rose class. Today we're going to talk about the Major Arcana, and there are so many cards in the Major Arcana. I'm going to divide it into decks of 7 cards. With this first one, it's actually going to be 8 cards because the Fool is a number 0. So that's what I'm going to do. So this first part is going to be about the Fool through the Chariot. So if you guys have your tarot decks with you, those are the 8 cards we're going to discuss today. So the Fool. When I think about the Fool, I think about somebody who is beginning a journey. And this rings true for you guys who are you are in the first stages of your tarot journey. The Fool is all about embarking on a path that he has never been on before. So when the Fool comes up in a tarot reading for a client, it usually identifies that the client is starting something new, a new course of study, a new job, a new path, a new relationship, or it could be the client's need for change, the need for wanting something different, to be spontaneous, to go on an adventure, to travel, the need for the client to just be a little bit more looser in their ways of living. Some people are not inviting change as others. Some people are afraid of change and are more comfortable in staying in some kind of a comfort zone, and they don't know how to get out of that bubble that they live in. So the Fool can indicate that. The Fool can also indicate a free spirit, a young spirit, somebody who is a little bit more immature than others, somebody who is not quite familiar with the experiences of life just yet. They still have a lot to learn. A student, it could be a card of, somebody who is studying something, new to something. It can be so many different things. When the card comes up in reversed, it can indicate somebody who is afraid of change, somebody who is afraid of taking chances, someone who takes themselves too seriously, someone who has grown. So they went from being a rather immature person to a more mature adult. This can indicate somebody who needs more excitement in their life. Sometimes I will read the Fool in reversed as somebody who needs to be more spontaneous and take adventures. It's all a matter of intuition. So you've got to follow the gut feeling that comes to mind when you flip that card over and run with that. Next, we have the Magician. The Magician is all about manifestation and using your knowledge that you are built with, using what you have to create an amazing life for yourself. It's about using the powers that you have, your energy sources, your the skill sets that you have been accustomed to from school and all of that. It's utilizing all of that to your best abilities. The Magician is about the power of manipulation. It could be for good or bad things. So a magician might be somebody who is good with communication, good with fitting in the crowd with people, knows how to people please and work the crowd. But it can also be somebody who works solitary, so someone who likes to work alone, but is a very smart a smart person and likes to create. The Magician was one of the cards that I will admit was one of the cards that was difficult for me to read when I was first starting the journey. So this would probably be one of the cards I would pick to be a problem card for myself. Now the Magician in reversed, he can indicate not utilizing the tools that you have around you to make things happen. If you are constantly a worrier about your life, but you're not really focusing on the fact that you do have a job and you should be grateful for the things that you have in your life, that type of a deal. Magician can be somebody who is having difficulty in their course of training, someone who is taking a class that they're not really vibing with at this moment. It could be a lot of different things like that. A job that you're not quite feeling like you're being treated, you know, correctly for. You're not, you're being taken advantage of, so to speak. Just different things like that. The magician is a creator. The magician is a manifester. So we have the power of manifesting what we want in our lives by giving out into the world positive energies, and they come back forth to us. So that's all about the magician. Then we have the high priestess. The high priestess is a card of a woman who is very much a knowledgeable person, somebody who is very in tune with her intuitiveness. When I started my tarot journey, the high priestess was the card that I slept with under my pillow. I kept her under my pillow because I wanted to know everything I could about her. I wanted to become her. I wanted to become the best reader like her and be have a positive effect on other people with my card reading. I wanted to become very intuitive and very psychic and just be very aware of all of these gifts that I knew that I had within me, but that I didn't know how to tap into to utilize for this path. The high priestess is I like to think of her as she doesn't side with this side or that side. She's kind of like in the middle. She's neutral ground. She is definitely I think of her as a very like she's like a calm soul. She doesn't let drama get to her. She's just very regal and very classy and a very mature woman. Now in reverse, the high priestess in reverse can indicate somebody who needs to listen more to their intuition, who needs to tap into listening to their gut instincts about situations. Somebody who is not willing to pay attention to the signs that are around them, and they're still asking for help. You know, that person that is always saying prayers, but they're not necessarily listening to what's in front of them. That's what the high priestess in reverse can indicate. There's also a bunch of other things that these cards can indicate. But, I'm just keeping it very simple for you guys. I don't want to overwhelm you. Then we have the Empress. And the Empress is a very feminine card. She's just all about femininity. She's all about um, being a woman. She can indicate pregnancy. She can indicate, she's a mother figure. So she often indicates a mother person in someone's life. So if this card does come up in a reading, it doesn't always pertain to the client. It can also pertain to the client's mother or a guardian of that client, somebody who that client looks to as a mother figure. It can indicate, like I said, pregnancy or the need to want to have a pregnancy. It can be also, she's a card of creativity. She is definitely artistic and all into nature. So for somebody who loves the outdoors, this could be an indication of that as well. Now in reversed, I like to read the Empress in reversed as somebody who is not in touch with themselves. Self-love is something that they need in their life. Somebody who is not feeling the creative spark, so they might be kind of caught up in a bind of not really feeling like they can deliver. Somebody who has self-esteem issues. So I do feel like the Empress in reverse would indicate someone who has issues with their body image or just feeling comfortable with themselves. And then I also see this as losing a pregnancy or not being able to be pregnant. Then we have the Emperor. And the Emperor is a very strong, a very strong and authoritative man, a male presence. He is a leader. He is a ruler. He is also a father figure. So like the Empress being a motherly figure in a reading for a client, the Emperor can definitely portray a father or a father figure, a grandfather, some sort of a guardian, some type of a guardian. I do feel that the Emperor is all about stability and someone's need for stability, someone's need for just having maturity in their life. So whenever the Emperor comes up, and if it's a reading concerning like love or finances, I see it as just they want someone stable in their life, somebody who is going to call the shots and be a ruler. Then you have the card in reversed. The Emperor in reverse can indicate um, it can indicate an individual who is not quite mature, who has a lot of growing up to do, who has not a lot of life experience, somebody who has trouble being a leader in a job. You know, you might have trouble standing up for yourself or speaking up or being a supervisor, whatnot, all of those things. And then this can also be foundation being rocky. So the family life might not be so stable. Finances, there's something definitely rocky about, those little areas in your life. And then we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant was a card that I didn't like to identify with because he reminded me so much of everything. And you guys will find that out too. You'll find that there will be a card that you just don't vibe with. And then, excuse me, and then later on you'll find out that the reason you didn't vibe with that card was because you could relate to it so much. It's kind of funny how that works. So the Hierophant is kind of the card of old-fashioned ways of thinking and living. I always read him as people who are old-fashioned, people who are traditional, people who are very religious or very, just close with their faith. They have a bond with whomever they believe. This is also a card of being in, having rules and guidelines and following it. So some people are more, they like to follow the rules. They like to, they don't, what's the word, challenge society. That's another way to read the Hierophant. There's so many different ways to read it, and like I said, this is probably the other card that I have a lot of problems with because I can identify with him so well. Then in reverse, the Hierophant in reverse, I always read it as chaos. People who are growing out of what they learned as children and finding out what they want to do as adults. So as a child, you were taught to obey your parents and the teachings of your parents and your family. But as an adult, you adapt new ways of thinking and you're thinking for yourself. The Hierophant can also be literal for people who are losing touch with their faith, or they maybe need to pay more attention to their faith, their religious upbringing and whatnot. Hierophant can indicate people who just are sick of following the rules and want excitement. It could be so many different things, you guys. Then we have the Lovers. The Lovers card can portray romantic relationships. It can also portray friendships, and like working relationships. It's any type of relationship. The Lovers card is about, I feel, because the two individuals are naked and they're in front of each other, it's to be comfortable with the one that you love, to be able to be yourself. You're 100% yourself. You're not hiding anything. You're not trying to be something you're not, all of that kind of thing. As far as, with relationships and of coworkers or friendships, it's being real with one another. The Lover card, often indicates just the whole relationship dynamic. In reversed, oh, I'm sorry, it can also portray bonds, promises, um, and then your love for yourself. It could be a self-love card. It could also be a um, striving for your dreams type card. You can see it in so many ways. It doesn't just have to be relationships. In reverse, the Lover's card can indicate a breakup. It can indicate divorce. It can indicate betrayal, lies, people who are talking behind your back. It can portray the need for spiritual enlightenment, because I always portray the angel also as like the angels are mediators, they're communicators for us, they are there for us, they help us. So in reverse, I see it as, you know, the angel is calling to you, but you're not listening, type thing. It could be obstacles that are between you and that one other person. If your reading involves another person and it comes in reverse, it can show an obstacle between the two of you. It could be a lot of different things, but those are just some of the basics. And then lastly, we have the Chariot. And the Chariot is action. It's an action card. It's all about travel, taking risks, being courageous and not being afraid to reach for your goals and strive for, you know, the the sky is not the limit. Basically, I like to say that for the Chariot. I also see the Chariot as somebody who is very confident in themselves and confident in what it is that they want out of life, and they're not going to let anything stop them. And it's just it's a real positive card to receive in a reading. It can also be the indication of somebody who likes to travel, someone who is traveling or will be traveling in the future. And then in reverse, you can have the indication of perhaps a vacation not quite going the way you want it to go, traveling difficulties. It could be the inability to walk, you know, for physical ailments. It could also mean not being confident in yourself, doubting your ability to strive and to really get your goals, achieve your goals. It could be a block, something blocking you or an obstacle to get to you from point A to point B. There's something keeping you from getting there. So you guys, those are the first 8 cards in the Major Arcana deck. And I wanted to, you know, just discuss them with you. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If anybody has any questions concerning any of the 8 cards that we talked about, please leave me a comment below. I will answer. And those of you guys who are going to go back now with your deck of cards, I highly suggest just going through the cards, take out your tarot journal and write an entry about each of these. What stands out to you? What colors are you drawn to? What do you think the little symbols mean? Because these little symbols do mean something. It's too much for me to go in depth with, but like I said, if you get a book that describes all of this stuff, write it all down, journal about it, learn the symbols and learn the little hidden meanings in the cards. But definitely reach out if you guys have a question. I hope that that this helped you in some way. Next time we will discuss the next 7 cards in the deck, and it'll be starting with the Strength card all the way up to Temperance. So just be on the lookout for that, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.